Hey guys, Station X here, and today it's going to be Video Game Pickups 15. We've done 15 of these so far, so it's pretty exciting going through this video game collecting journey with you guys. But as you can see here, we have a bunch of Switch games. Now, I don't know if you've seen my some of my more recent videos, but I've already done one where I showed off my entire Switch collection, and I gotta say it's a little out of date now, but I mean, I was gonna buy Switch games regardless, but I went through a big shopping spree lately, both in, I want to say, throughout the months of December and January. As you can see, some of these games I bought just straight up after that video went up. Like, I had bought a couple more after that, and then also we just went through most of December, through most of January, and so here I have a bunch. I just kept stockpiling them because I wanted to do kind of like a big episode for Switch. I actually did not do one technically dedicated to the Switch. I don't know if you guys remember all the way back, the pilot episode of Video Game Pickups. It wasn't even called that. It's like Video Game Hauls. I did have a few Switch games, and it was like the only one that had only Switch games. But I think it was about like 7. So here we have, like, I don't even remember how many is here, but I think it's close to 30, if I'm not mistaken, about close to 30 games here. I definitely was busy with adding a bunch of these. And so here we're just going to go through them, and we're going to, like, just see what we have here. I mean, of course I know what we have here, but let's just jump right into it. We're going to start with this pile first. And I want to preference right now, I have a lot of games that are very, what's the word I'm looking for? Meme worthy, I guess you could say. I sound really boomerish right now. but you know, like, I've stated in the past that I have bought certain anime games, like this one, for example, simply because I thought the cover was either really funny, cool looking, or just, it just spoke to me in some way. And this was one of those games where I just thought, wow, this is really funny. It reminds me of those code games that I saw on the Vita that I have. Like, I don't know if they're the same. I know those were like romance, like JRPGs or something like that. I don't know if this is the same thing, but I just kind of thought this looks funny. So it's basically the only reason why I bought it. Here we also have South Park: The Fractured Butthole. I wanted to say it very slowly, but yeah, like, this is obviously a really good game. I played the Stick of Truth. I played a little bit of this on Xbox. I have like the Xbox versions of those, of course, but wanted to have a Switch version just because I have it portably, and so it's a pretty decent game there. Diablo 3 Eternal Collection. I've actually never played a Diablo game. I think the first one I've owned. I don't know if I have another one. I may be mistaken. So I think I might have for the Xbox 360, but as far as I know, this is like the first time I bought a Diablo game. So a lot of my 360 games I bought way back when I was a child. So it was like, I remember a lot of my friends would play the Diablo game on 360, and so I'm kind of late on the bandwagon here, but hey, why not? We have a Doctor Who game. Now, when I saw this in the store, I was really, like, curious about it, because it was just like, I did not think this thing existed. And I mean, I've seen the show, I've seen a couple episodes, I'm pretty into it. It's not like my favorite thing in the world. I don't just go head deep into the story and everything. I couldn't really tell you a lot of the storylines, but I'll catch an episode here and there. It's very entertaining. And I mean, yeah, it does have up to the, I forgot which Doctor this is, I think 13. So that's pretty cool, although it's kind of funny. I believe this guy came back. The 10th Doctor came back as, I guess, number 14. But it says that it is Edge of Reality plus The Lonely Assassins, which tells me that there are like 2 Doctor Who games in one cartridge. But yeah, I didn't know. I thought this was like kind of like at first I thought this was not a North American game, but then I saw the ESRB rating, so I just didn't think they had this over here. We have the Mario and Rabbids games, Kingdom Battle and Sparks of Hope. I actually bought this because I bought this one. And I was like, I mean, I never picked this up when it first came out. I always thought this was very goofy. But then I was seeing this, and I was like, you know what? Maybe I might give it a try. This just happened to come into the store, and to a store I shop at. So it's like, why not? Space Warlord Organ Trading Simulator is exactly what the title says. And I think it's a no-brainer why I bought this. It's just a very, very out there and goofy title. And just the what you do in the game is just kind of funny. And I can't stress this enough. Whenever a game has like this really unique artwork, and typically the ones that look really interesting and cool to me, they usually cost $40. They have like this tier, like $40 games are like these weird out there, like almost indie games, and then you have like the $60 ones like the Mario and Rabbids and, you know, Legend of Zelda and the Metroids and stuff like that. And I just think that's kind of funny. There's another one, Bubble Bobble, For Friends, the Baron is Back. I don't know if I pronounced that right, but you know, Bubble Bobble's a very famous game, and so I've got one for Switch. It's pretty cool. Yeah, it was just kind of like one of those like cutesy art covers, so I thought I was like, why not? Little Nightmares 2. This one I actually played on the PS4. Very interesting game. I want to track down the first one. I don't remember if they made a physical for the first one, but I want to track that down because I never played the first one. I've seen another friend of mine play it, but I've never played that one myself. This one I played a few levels of, and I thought it was really fun. Although I'm not a big fan of horror games. It is a little bit scary at times, but if you don't like the feeling of someone chasing you from behind or whatever. But yeah, like that's basically it. Crisis Core, Final Fantasy VII Reunion. I have the original one on PSP. I bought the Switch version because I was very curious how this was going to look on Switch. And I know it was a PSP game that they're remastering here, but it has the same visuals as Final Fantasy VII Remake. So I don't know if like the cutscenes and things like that look exactly the same. I doubt it does. I just really wanted to see how it would look on the Switch and how it would perform on the Switch. It could just be nothing, and I was just, you know, making a big deal out of nothing about it. But I thought, like, seeing the trailer, I was like, wow, this is gonna be on Switch. I didn't believe it at first. Also have Mega Man 0/ZX Legacy Collection. Now, this was like one of the last Mega Man collections that I was missing, as I have the original Mega Man series. I have the X series. This was the last one that I was missing, because I just didn't bother picking this up because these weren't really that interesting to me. But then they also announced another one, which I think was like Battle Network. I'm not sure. There was another Mega Man collection coming out, and I was like, you know what? This was for a cheap price. I think it was like $15 when I bought it. So I said, whatever. I bought this and then I pre-ordered the other thing. So I have basically all the Mega Man games on Switch, so I might as well just finish it off. I have Pretty Princess Party. You know, like, it is what it is. I thought this would be really funny to own. And yeah, there's a running joke with the Wii U games I have, where I own Barbie's Puppy Rescue, because that's one of the games that's on that collection. So in order to have it complete, and so I wanted this to be the Barbie's Puppy Rescue, but for the Switch, basically. So now I have another game that's not gonna help my reputation with collecting. Here we have Pokken Tournament DX, which I thought was pretty cool. I mean, I have the Wii U version again, but I never owned it for Switch. Would like to have one that's portable, and it's basically a Tekken Pokemon game, which is just like, that's just fun. I just think that's just a fun idea. It's going through this period of buying Pokemon games, and so this was just part of that. And while I've definitely slowed down on buying Pokemon games, because I'm nearing the end on the mainline Pokemon stuff, I still have a bunch of spin-off ones like this that I'm missing, and so I have to like really get on top of that. But this one's a pretty interesting fighting game. It actually has its own controller as well, both for the Wii U and for Switch. Here we have Atellar. I don't want to mispronounce the name, but Atellar Sophie 2, the Alchemist of the Mysterious Dream. I'm very sorry if I butchered that. That whole, I think anime cover art looks cool, and it looked interesting enough, so I just said, whatever. Give it a whirl, just pick it up. Here we have Arkanoid Eternal Battle. Another really interesting looking game for Switch. I mean, of course, it's Arkanoid. It's not that complicated. It's not that deep. But I mean, it's a classic game, kind of like Space Invaders, how that looked on the Switch. I just really wanted to have something for that, like another type of game like that for a Switch. But want to move on to the last two games on this pile. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and 3. Finally picked these up. I have the first one, as you guys know from the previous videos, and I have Xenoblade Chronicles 2 Tora. I remember it was Tora or something else, but it was like the expansion to Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Now I'm pretty sure I have the entire Xenoblade series for Nintendo Switch, and I gotta say, man, like, especially with these two covers, you would not be able to tell that these are different games, like, if you did not pay attention. I know there's more characters on this cover art, and obviously there's a different number, but if you're just passing by at first glance, you would have thought that these two looked exactly the same. I don't know why they went with the same cover. Some people might think that's, like, really good, and I'm on the fence about it a little bit, because especially if I brought over Xenoblade Chronicles 1 Definitive Edition, while that one just has a sword, so I give it a pass on that. I like that they all match, but at the same time, they look so similar. But the cover doesn't matter if the game is good, and the games are good. And while I haven't given most of them a try, the only one I actually really played was the Xenoblade on Wii U. But I do think that these look very interesting, and yeah, I don't mind giving them a try at some point. Let's go to this pile. I want to save these string of games for last, because there's a reason for that. Here we're gonna go with No More Heroes 3. Thought this one looked really cool, and I always saw a lot of advertisements on it. Whenever you go into the game stores, you have like that TV that shows a lot of advertisements of what's coming up, and I would always see this one, so it always stuck with me. So there's that. SpongeBob The Cosmic Shake, the newest SpongeBob game. Had to get it. Big SpongeBob fan. I was so tempted to get the BFF edition. I wanted to do that for a video as well, but I couldn't buy it, especially since that one was $250 for one, and the other thing is that it was coming out around the same time as the DualSense Edge, which was another $217. So I just couldn't justify dropping almost $260 right then and there. I just couldn't do it. But maybe at some point, if you guys want to see a unboxing of this collector's edition, by all means, I'll figure out a way to make it happen. Here we have Nier Automata, the end of that word edition. I cannot pronounce that. I would always see this game in the store, and I never picked it up for any other system, and I just thought, you know what, I finally pulled the trigger on it because of the fact that it's on Switch. Whenever a game comes out for Switch, it gives me more of an incentive to buy it, because how the Switch is, being able to play it on TV and portable just gives me that much more of a reason to actually own it. So it looked cool, it looked interesting, and it would always, one of those games where when I would go into game stores, I would always notice this game, and it would always just stick with me, so I eventually just went and bought it. This is one of those other games that I thought the cover just looked too cool to pass up. Astro Knight. I mean, it reminds me a lot of those, like, really old cartoons, that ink style, like the Steamboat Willie type of art. I know the game's not going for that kind of thing, but I just like how it's in black and white, and I just think that aspect of it looks really cool. But it's a one-bit Metroidvania that combines action, exploration, puzzles, and platforms. So I mean, it is a very interesting looking game, to say the least, and I would love to try it at some point. You have the Disney Classics collection. Now, I avoided this game at all costs when it first came out, because I had already owned the one that came with these two. But a friend of mine pointed out to me that original version only had the Genesis versions of those games, and so with this came out, I thought this only just added Jungle Book and that was it. But it not only just added Jungle Book, but it also gave you the NES versions, not the NES, the Super Nintendo versions of these games. And so more of a reason to buy this is if you have like the original version, because not only you got that extra game, but you have you could choose between either the Genesis or Nintendo version to play, whereas the other one just has the Genesis and it's only the two games. But if you own this, there's absolutely no reason to go and buy that other one, because This doesn't make any sense. Thankfully, I didn't own this at first, so I have a reason to own both now. So I have TMNT Shredder's Revenge. This came out around the same time as the Cowabunga collection. I think this actually came out earlier, but digital only. And this I was having so much trouble finding in stores. This would never show up. I had it pre-ordered for the longest time. It never showed up on the date it was supposed to. Finally, this just showed up one day, and I said, whatever. And of course, by then I had moved my pre-order onto something else, but I picked it up anyway. I think this was like $40 or something around that price, like 35 to 40 bucks. And I was just like, I was so ecstatic that I was finally able to get this thing, because it just took so long. I don't know why this took forever. It was a really good looking game, and I wanted to play it as like a modern day version of like those classic TMNT games from the NES and Super Nintendo. And so I was just ecstatic to get it, and it just never showed up for the longest time, but finally have it now. So that's pretty cool. FIFA 19, nothing really special about it other than the only comment I want to make about it is that this completes my FIFA collection. And since they're not making EA FIFA games anymore, it's going to be separated now. Like FIFA's going to have their own games and EA is going to have Football Club. I officially I own all the EA FIFA games for Switch, which is a pretty neat little thing right there. Here we have Fire Emblem Engage. I did an unboxing of this already, so I'm not going to go into too much in detail, but I figured I had included in the pile because it is a pickup that I did get. So we're just going to move on from that. Nurse Love Obsession. This comes with 2 games. And again, thought this was a really funny looking game to buy. And so I honestly, and I'm really pleading ignorance here. I really don't know what this game is about, other than I assume it's a romance game about nurses. So that's all I got going off on it. But it is got the limited run logo on it, which, I mean, if you collect limited run games, there's an excuse to own this. My excuse is I just thought the cover looked cool, and that was about it. So there's that. Soldem, Drop, Connect, and Erase. Again, I think it's like a puzzle game. Yeah, it's a puzzle game. It has like that chibi art style kind of thing going on. Pretty cool looking. And here we have the 6 games in 1 time management game collection. This is literally like a bunch of mobile games, I'm pretty sure, just on a Switch cartridge, and it looks really goofy looking, and it screamed I had to own it. And that's the only thing I have to say about that. And yeah, I mean, you could basically tell right here what you're getting. You get not only 1 but 2 Kingdom Tales games. You get this Cooking Mama ripoff, it looks like, Caveman Tale. So we got a bunch of games in the Tales series, Country Tales, and Pharaoh. Yeah, I really don't know what to say here about it. I mean, it's a part of the Switch library, so I mean, at some point I had to get it. But here we have Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth Complete Edition, part of that Digimon collection. Now, you know, I was a big fan of Digimon, especially growing up as a kid. I was never a Pokemon fan when I was a kid growing up. I always liked Digimon. I was the only one in my class to like Digimon in my grade. Or just growing up, I was the only person who was like, yeah, Digimon, and everyone was like, oh, no, Pokemon's better, you're dumb. While this game has nothing to do with the Digimon show, I do think it looks cool, especially since it does have Digimon that I recognize, like Agumon and things like that. So, I mean, Tentamon. And so, I always wanted to try them out. I always was hesitant on buying them because were not based off the show, and I always wanted Digimon games that were based off the show, and they definitely do exist, but I don't think they made many games based off the show. It was mostly, for the most part, their own thing. So, which in one hand is good, and the other hand it kind of sucks, because I would love to see a game, especially in modern time, about at least the first 2 seasons of the show. So I think that would have been a really cool time. Now, that little small pile I took off, I don't know if you can see on the top here, but these are all games that are physical digital games. Full game downloads or add-ons in this case. Here we have the Fortnite Minty Legends pack and the Anime Legends pack. It's Fortnite. Well, you know, that's basically all I could say about it. I mean, this one comes with some V-Bucks and some pickaxe items and whatever. This one comes with some emote, with an emote and some pickaxes and whatever. And I mean, of course, you got like the 3 skins that are on here as well, so there's that. You have Call of Juarez. I'm sorry if I butchered that. Gunslinger. Now this one actually looks cool because it looks like it is a first-person shooter game. I never played this before. I saw it on. I would always see it on the Xbox 360 store back when I was, you know, in middle school, and I would always see it there, and I was always interested in it because obviously you would type in Call of Duty, and I was a big Call of Duty guy back in the day, and I would see this game pop up whenever I would type in Call of. And now that I own it, it sucks that there's no actual cartridge in here, but hey, I do own it now, and so I am very interested in trying it out. Here we have Instant Tennis. Now, there is a game with a cartridge called Instant Sports, and it has tennis in it, but this is literally just tennis. And I got this. I gotta mention too, like a lot of these were on clearance. So like these were 20. This one was $15. This one was $20. This was $7. This was $2. That's really the only reason why I bought this and this. Not only just because, I mean, I did have sentimental reasons for this because of what I said before, but this one just straight up, it was $2. Yeah, I don't think anybody would say no to that, even if it's just a lame tennis game. It's like $2, it's whatever. You have Just Dance 2023. Now, this is quite funny because this is the first time Just Dance is just a digital only thing. I kind of saw it coming, and while I am very disappointed, it is what it is. It does come with a 7-day free trial of Nintendo Online, but yeah, I guess if you were collecting Just Dance games, I guess you could kind of end it at Just Dance 2022 and then call it a day, because then while they are making the cases, at least they made a case for this year's. I don't know if they're going to make one for next year or whatever, but I mean, hey. And then we have Overwatch Legendary Edition. There is a little bit of a hidden thing I want to show, but just to give a little bit of backstory on this one, obviously Overwatch was very popular. They had a sequel that came out that replaced this, and now, of course, when you try to download the game and you buy a brand new one, or you buy it off the Switch, whatever, it just turns it into Overwatch 2. So that's just kind of, that's what it happens. This one, when they came out over here, it was a digital only thing, which it really bummed me out because I was like, man, this would have been really cool to own. I passed up on it a long time ago, and I did kind of regret it because it was like, I wanted to own it with the case and stuff. I just did not like the fact, I did not want to support this full game download nonsense. I just really don't like it. The only reason, again, why I bought these guys, they were all like, I want to say $20 or less, and so I mean, I don't think that is really hurting anybody. This one I think was like a full $60 game, so I was like, I just could not justify it. But something I want to show here is this actually comes with a cartridge, my version, and that's because this is the Japanese cartridge. The Switch is region free, and so this just downloads Overwatch on the thing. I don't think it's gonna be in Japanese, of course. I mean, I don't know. I probably am not going to play it, or at least I'm not going to use this cartridge because it is free to download Overwatch 2 anyway. So I could probably just download Overwatch 2 and not even worry about it. But I do have a physical cartridge to represent Overwatch in this case. It's not just going to be an empty case on my shelf, which is nice. And if you're wondering, well, how did that happen? Well, I saw an eBay listing, and they had this game with it, and they had both the American and the Japanese case. If you ever want to see what the Japanese games look like, there you go. That's pretty neat. And ours didn't have any like fancy background cover art or anything, whereas this does. That's why I kind of have it like this way you could kind of have both. But I could have the North American ESRB rated version and kind of have my cake and eat it too. I could have both versions there, have like the nice background on the cover, and have a physical version of the case, which is always a delight. That'll basically do it here. This is basically like a part 2 to my Nintendo Switch collection thing, and so I am going to link the original video down in the description below. But let me know what you guys think of my pickups here. Do you think they got some good games here? Some weird games? Let me know what you guys think. And as always, a like and subscribe really helps out the channel. I've been Station X, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day.